What's up guys, today we're going to be making a flank steak beef stroganoff. We're going to start everything off with a little bit of knife work. Today we're using a white onion, some mini portobello mushrooms, and some garlic. First we're going to start off with the mushrooms. Personal preference, you can slice these up, thin, thick, dice them, mince them. We're going to use an immersion blender later, so it's really going to help make that a creamy consistency afterwards. Next we're going to move to the onion. Go ahead and dice that up, set it to the side. Finally, for the vegetables, we're going to do the garlic. Go ahead and mince that up, also set it to the side. And for the protein, we're going to use flank steak today. Oftentimes you see stroganoffs with ground beef, but if you haven't tried flank steak, highly recommend it. This one in particular has been sitting in the freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes, so it helps slice it pretty thin. We're going to be cooking the steak and building the sauce in the same pot, so go ahead and grab a deep-sided pot, set that to about medium-high, let it start warming up. For the steak, we're going to be seasoning that with some salt and pepper. The sauce itself is pretty flavorful, so you don't have to go too far with this. Once your pot is warm, go ahead and add some olive oil, and then toss in about half of your steak. We don't want to overcrowd the pan. We just really want to cook this about halfway through, about 2 minutes per side. After that 4 minutes is up, it's going to look pretty undercooked, but totally fine. We're adding it back in at the very end with that sauce to help finish cooking it off. Once that first batch is complete, make sure there's no burning on the bottom of the pan. We want to make sure that fond is perfect to build that sauce on, and go ahead and add the rest of your beef. Again, about 2 minutes per side, making sure it's still about undercooked halfway. Now we're building the sauce. Go ahead and start off with the mushrooms first. Those take the longest, they have the most liquid too, so we want to start sweating those out. Make sure you scrape up that fond too. You don't want it to continue cooking and possibly burn. After about 2 minutes of sauteing, you want to go ahead and add that onion in there and continue cooking for about 4 minutes or so. After that 4 minutes, go ahead and make yourself a little spot for the garlic. Add that in there. Continue cooking everything for about 3 to 5 more minutes. Once everything is nice and fragrant, we're going to start making the roux. I'm using about 4 tablespoons of butter here, and you want to match that with 4 more tablespoons of flour. To cook out that raw flour taste, this needs to go for about 5 to 6 minutes or so. This next part can be pretty tricky. You want to add water pretty slowly. I'm using 2 cups. You can use broth, whatever you prefer. We're going to add some Better Than Bouillon later, so broth isn't really necessary. But add it slowly, continue adding it once everything is mixed. Make sure there's no clumps. If you add everything at one time, you will have clumps, and we don't want that. Once everything's mixed thoroughly, I'm using about 2 tablespoons of stone ground mustard. Dijon mustard works really well too, but this is just what I had. And we're adding half a cup of heavy whipping cream also. Here's that Better Than Bouillon I was talking about, using about 1.5 tablespoons of the beef base, and then your favorite Worcestershire sauce. This one is from atbbq.com, absolutely delicious, but you can just use your regular Heinz store-bought as well. Mix everything really well. You want to start simmering this and lower the heat to about medium from here, and then we're going to start cooking the pasta. These egg noodles only take like 8 to 10 minutes, so it all comes together pretty quick. And here's the immersion blender. Gonna get all those chunks out there. We've got some kiddos, and these picky eaters like to see no chunks in there. And now we're gonna add the sour cream, using about half a cup or so. can use more if you'd like, you can use less. This is just about perfect, I think, for this recipe. And we're coming to the close, so add your beef back in. The sauce is going to continue cooking for about 2 to 3 more minutes. Mix everything really well here. The most important part is tasting your food. You want to make sure your dish tastes good. Add any salt, pepper, adjust your seasonings accordingly. After that 8 minutes, go ahead and strain those noodles. You don't want to cook them all the way. They're going to finish in this sauce. But go ahead and toss those right into the pot. Mix everything up really well. Once everything is mixed thoroughly, go ahead and pour yourself a little treat. We've got some red wine here. Goes really good with the beef. And go ahead and plate it up. Ideally, we would have parsley. We didn't have any in the fridge, so we're gonna have to go with that today. A little bit of lemon zest will definitely brighten this up. Cheers.